So Ariel, it's a great pleasure to have your show here at the Kunsthaus Baselland.
It's a great honor to be here.
Of course, it's a pleasure. And I'm very interested in, as we talked about several times, and we now included works from the last years, or maybe from the last year as well, but also older one. And I would be very interested how it feels for you now to see these different, not pairs, but all these works that come together here. So it's like the whole exhibition takes place somehow in the whole Kunsthaus Baselland, and I think it's quite interesting to hear about your feelings now, or your perceived.
No, I think it's totally true. It's the first time I really see all these works together and side by side and in relation to one another. And well, we're just, as you know me, I make everything last minute. So we're just now before the opening, and only now we are done. So I must say I have to get used to the show and to your question. Yeah, so I think it's still very fresh. I mean, I guess it's nice that I think the way you created the show, given kind of like step by step. So I think that it's nice for me also to see like how from one work something developed into something else and another step, another step. Yeah, so maybe that's what I'm getting mostly, the feeling of this kind of line that connects the works and the steps I took.
But is there a work, for example, that really surprises you now at the moment, seeing it in a different context?
Sure. I mean, there are so many works here that I really, hated, and
so, for example, give us an example what now changed your.
Behind us, the neon piece.
The neon piece.
The neon piece, and this photo here, and
the photo. Well, it's not only a photo.
No, this object. Hanging on the wall.
But maybe this is also a good example to describe somehow. It's because we have this so-called broken windows, and you find this through the whole exhibition. It's quite like a red line through the whole exhibition. What was the idea for these windows? Because they differ in size, they differ also in the image. I think it's quite nice to hear something about this project.
Well, I guess this was kind of my current obsession the past year or so. Breaking those windows and photographing them and framing them, and I think it's maybe the first time where I was really felt I can do millions of them and never get tired or bored. So I think we made the right choice to kind of like spread them around the exhibition. So like I mentioned, I mean, this specific window I don't really like, but
in the beginning, hopefully.
Yeah, but now somehow I totally understand how the space would not work without it, and I think that's also another surprise for me, how something can just shine completely differently in the company of something else.
I think something that was also very nice for me to see here. I think most of the people know works from you that maybe have a touch of being a bit dangerous, maybe. But I think now in the combination here with this exhibition, I think you really get an understanding, you get a kind of overview what you're interested in. There are some works that are really calm, they're quite poetic, they're of course have a lot of humor in it, and some of course they are really serious, of course they have also the touch of being dangerous. And I like this kind of this dense overview, how to understand, how to see your work, how to perceive your work. Well, now, for example, in the background we have a car full of gas. I think that is shown also quite often, and it's also a very strong work, a very strong image, of course. But do you think is it something that also changed in your perception, seeing the work here in this context, or do you think it's still what it is? It's a kind of entity.
No, I think in this case, it's a sort of entity. I think it was in that sense was not a surprise for me. I felt it functioned here very well and immediately when we turned it on. And so I think it's true that not all the works are so sensitive to the surrounding. So maybe this one is kind of vulgar in that sense.
You described it some days ago in a very, very nice way. So you said it's more like, well, of course, it's a very strong image. It's a car, and the title is a car full of gas, and then you see the gas tanks, you see the fire, the flame, and I think everything is obvious. But you described it some days ago like how to make gas presence, somehow also like able to perceive it.
Right.
Can you describe it a little bit more or get more details?
Sure. I think what I was probably trying to say, because yeah, I mean, a lot of my works have fire in it, and but each one of these works uses the fire in a different way.